Good evening and welcome back to 30 at 6 on Cecil TV. This week we're here with Bill Coutz, 2nd District Councilman here in Cecil County. He's running for Cecil County Executive. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Alison. It's always a pleasure.
How are you?
I'm doing well, and you?
Great. I'm doing
We just had a nice conversation about our holidays. So
yeah.
That was always a nice way to start things off.
Yeah, it was nice to catch up. So, I know you, but tell us about yourself.
Okay. As you said, I'm a councilman here in Cecil County in District 2. A lifelong resident. I've been here in Cecil County all my life. My father was a school teacher for 25 plus years, and my mom was a stay-at-home mom. I had 5 kids in the family, so she had 5 jobs, I always say,
yeah.
Not just one. And she stayed there, with the kids until my father passed when he was just under 50. And then, believe it or not, she re-entered the workforce. And
good for her.
and worked in a lot of administrative roles in the automobile industry. And so that was a shift for the whole family, to kind of organize us to keep things moving and productive, let's say. And I attended school here in Cecil County, ended up going to Frostburg State University, got degrees in business administration and political science there, and came back to Cecil County. And professionally, my career has been based mainly on business analysis and management and sales, and in a consultant's role for a lot of different businesses. We go in and take a look at businesses and the problems and issues they may have, help them reorganize and kind of reimagine themselves and become more efficient and productive. But I've always stayed here in Cecil County. It's been my home.
Yeah, what brought you back to Cecil County?
It's where I grew up. It's the values. It's the people that we were neighbors with, friends with. I've worked in Washington, D.C. and New York and Philadelphia and Baltimore and all around the regions. And there's a different atmosphere here in Cecil County. It's something you can't recreate. It's obviously part of the scenic beauty of it here, the rural, rather than urban environment, and that means a lot. And I think it's about family, and knowing the people that are your next door neighbors, and if something they needed, you're there for them, and vice versa. So that's always been what's kept me here in Cecil County. I've put a lot of miles on cars over the years. Traveling back and forth, right, and into work and back, and people have often asked me, why don't you just move down here? Because I like my neighbors.
Yeah.
I like being able to have a little bit of space, and my dog knows their dog, and our kids have known their kids, and our parents were friends, and it's community, and that's a tough thing to replace, and big part of the reason that I've always stayed here.
Yeah. So clearly you like it here.
I do.
Why are you running for Cecil County Executive?
For a lot of those same reasons. We're looking to do things in a way that we certainly are proud of what Cecil County has done, how we've grown, the economic development, how we've worked hard to maintain a rural legacy. And we want to make sure that that's preserved. We want to make sure that not just for today's generation, but tomorrow's generation, for the children that have grown up here and get to enjoy the same things we just talked about. We were talking about jobs and those kind of things. And while we have really turned the corner and we have job growth here, if you stop and think about it, a child born today, we don't even know what their job will be when they reach workforce age, whether that's 18 right out of high school or in a trade school at 25 or college. We don't know what those jobs will be yet. And while we are doing things to grow the job market here today, are we looking further enough into the future to know that we are creating jobs that will be important to them? Have we done the things to develop the technology that's fast and moving very, very rapidly nowadays? Are we looking into the future of less manual labor intensive jobs, and are we developing our labor pool to be prepared and be successful when those changes have come along? I don't want to see us set into a situation where we're not prepared. The main reason that I have decided to run for county executive is I'm just the same as those people we just talked about. I am a citizen here in Cecil County. I'm the same as those people that are working every day, trying to make, ends meet. And I think we talked about, their economies are not our federal economy or our state economy, even our local economy. Their economies from the front door to the back door, and what happens in between those. Yeah, and it seems that to some degree we've actually kind of skipped over those folks. And it's about time that we brought some focus back to that and made sure that the people that were here originally in Cecil County are not superseded and overlooked by our fascination of bringing large corporations and these other types of warehouse and logistic jobs that we spoke of. We need to make sure that they're taken into consideration, that we have their needs accounted for. There are people out today that I'm sure are thankful that we've had a warm January, that we actually haven't had to fill the fuel tank one more time, that we didn't have to go out and maybe look for another winter coat because the child has grown out of that size and into the next size right after Christmas. Those are some of the things that have really driven me to take a consideration and run for the office of county executive.
In the recent article in the Cecil Whig about your candidacy, you raised concerns about the terms of the tax incentives for businesses achieved through enterprise zones and their impacts on middle-class taxpayers, the ones that you're talking about. How would you have negotiated those terms differently? What would you do differently?
So I think that the enterprise zone is one of the things that you're speaking of. They certainly were necessary, and we've talked about they were necessary to start the fire. We were at a situation, we were at a point in the economic life cycle of Cecil County where we were stagnant, that's for sure, and we were struggling to attract new companies and jobs to the workforce here in Cecil County, and we needed that kindling, we needed that something to start the fire, and that's what I see enterprise zones as. They give incentives, additional incentives, to the companies that are considering coming here to Cecil County and locating new operations or offices or a warehouse or whatever it is to bring them here. And I think we've reached a point now where we need to take into consideration the fire's burning. And at that point we need to make sure that we're not just at every juncture that there's an opportunity that comes about that someone's saying, hey, we'll just throw the tax incentives in there. Because unfortunately, those tax incentives aren't free, and they're paid for and fueled on the taxes of the citizens of Cecil County. And if not used judiciously and appropriately, they could become counterproductive because they will continue to drain the resources of the people that live here in the county, and at that point, have they become counterproductive. So I'm not necessarily against tax incentive programs. I'm just against the overuse of them and funding them strictly from the tax rolls of the citizens of Cecil County.
What distinguishes you from the other candidates?
I think what we said before, that I am one of the citizens of Cecil County. I've lived here my whole life. I understand what it takes to keep a family going, to keep your economy from front door to back door, as we talked about, up and viable. While I've worked with large businesses and consulted with them, I've come back here and I've stayed here, and I think what sets me apart is I'm not driven by those large corporations, I'm not driven by the incentives that may be available to those people. I'm more driven by the people that are here. I care about people here. That's the main part that differentiates me from everyone else in the campaign.
Okay, Bill Coutz, thanks so much for being here.
Always a pleasure, Alison. Thank you very much.